Alright folks, so a bit of an update on the spectrums here. Uh, I have replaced the capacitors in both these. This is the one that I got that I done the restoration on and then it died. And this is the one that Phil sent me, which is actually a 16K model. So I made a video on replacing the capacitors on this and went into detail, and the video wound up being like half an hour long. And basically, in a nutshell, the replacing the capacitors didn't bring the Spectrum back to life, which I wasn't hopeful that it would, but I was quietly hoping that it would maybe resurrect it. So I don't know exactly what's wrong with this. Testing the voltages, all the voltages seem to be fine on it. I'm getting all three voltages to the lower RAM, and none of the RAM chips are heating up. So with that info, it tells me that the lower RAM is okay. It may not be, but that's sort of all I can test really. I'm getting all the voltages there. None of the voltages have dropped, which is what usually kills the RAM. So it's possibly the main processor is dead on this. With the one that Phil sent me, I hadn't turned it on. I was reluctant to turn it on before I replaced the capacitors. So what I did was I pulled it apart. I actually made a video on this as well. I pulled it apart, replaced the capacitors, plugged it in, turned it on, and it's dead as well. The checking over it, I wasn't sure if it was something I had done or whether it was dead before I even changed the capacitors, because I hadn't tested it. So I'm unsure exactly what's going on. I know what's dead on it. Checking the voltages, there's actually two voltages missing at the lower RAM. There's I actually have it wrote down here. On pin 1 of the lower RAM, it's supposed to be -5 volts, and I'm getting half a volt on the -5. On pin 8, it's supposed to be 12 volts, and I'm getting 6.7 volts. And then on pin 9, it's supposed to be 5 volts, and I'm getting 5 volts. So something has failed in the power circuitry in this, which has caused the lower RAM to fry. There's 3 of the 6, is it 6 or 8? 6 or 8 chips, or I think it's 8 chips, which are your lower RAM, and 3 of them you could fry an egg on, which is the main sign of dead RAM. It's like if you touch them, it would give you a blister on your finger. They're so hot. I don't know how they haven't burst into flames. So yeah, so 3 of the chips on the lower RAM are red hot, and like I said, there's 2 of the voltages are wrong at the lower RAM. When I plug this into the TV, I'm just getting a black screen, the same way as I'm getting with this one. Although I was getting graphics corruption on this one before it went to the black screen. So this one, I don't know. I don't know if it was dead before I got it, or if I killed it by replacing the capacitors. I don't know. Really, if I had plugged this in before I changed the capacitors and it was dead, I still would have questioned myself. I would have been asking myself, did I just kill this by plugging it in? Was one of the capacitors faulty and it has caused the RAM to fail? You know what I mean? So either way, I would have still been questioning what had happened. Really, I've done all I can do. Replacing the capacitors, I'm not going to start. I could swap out the CPU and stuff between the 2 of them, but there's about 40 pins on the CPU, It's a lot of work to try and unsolder both of them, change one over and solder it back in again. And then it may not work again, you know, it's still, there's no guarantee that it's going to fix it. So yeah, 2 out of 2 fail, I'm afraid. Like I said, this one was dead already. So, you know, I don't know what failed on it. Because I'm getting all the right voltages and stuff at the RAM, and the RAM isn't heating up, I'm guessing it's the main CPU. On this one, it's the RAM, but they're both giving me just a black screen. So I don't know, to be honest. As you can see, I was bored when I was sitting here, sitting on the thinking about what had happened and what I was going to do. I was doodling, so that's where that Sting's World came from. Sitting doodling while I was thinking. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to send these both to Jules. I'll put a link to his channel down below. The guy has a YouTube channel and a website, and he's pretty much an expert when it comes to electronics, and spectrums is his speciality. You know, he's got far more knowledge of this stuff than I do. I am not the best when it comes to electronics. I can wield a soldering iron, but figuring it all out and even reading diagrams is just beyond me. I'm self-taught. I have no training in this stuff. I just basically learned by opening things up and playing with them. So yeah, I'm actually thinking I'm going to send both of these to Jules. It's not actually his name, but it's the name of his YouTube channel, Jules something. I'm going to send these both to him and see if he can make one working 48K out of both of them. Really, he's far more equipped to do that than I am. So that's it. I did say, like I said, I did make videos. I made an extensive video of doing the capacitors in this one, and it didn't help. And then I made sort of a quick video of this one doing the capacitors in it, and it didn't work for either of them. So I'm sort of a bit disheartened, a bit sort of down in the dumps about it. But when things like this happen, you do question your ability. But what can you do? You know, there's only so much I can do. And I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert. I will never be an expert. And yeah, so that's about it. I'm not going to upload the other videos with well, it wasn't really a tutorial. It was just me soldering and talking and sort of trying to show you a bit of detail as I was doing it. But there's plenty of other tutorials. Mark Fixes Stuff has tutorials on fixing spectrums. Gadget UK has tutorials. The guy Jules has tutorials. So there's plenty of better tutorials than I could make out there. So I'm not going to bother uploading them. I'm just doing this instead. So that's about it. I'm still gonna do the capacitors in my good spectrum. I'm gonna give it a go. Hopefully third time lucky. I'm extremely nervous about it now because I haven't had any success with these two. But really, I don't think it was anything I did. This one was dead before I started. This one was untested. I replaced all the capacitors in it. It didn't have any problems. The capacitors went in and out perfectly. I've double checked and triple checked that they're all connected properly and they're in the right orientation. So really, I don't know what happened with this. This one was dead already. So I still have enough confidence to have a go with my good spectrum, which I know works. So if I change the capacitors in it and it's dead, then I know it's definitely something that I have done. But I'm willing to give it a go anyway. So, hope you enjoyed watching, guys. Catch you in the next one. Bye for now.